this should be working now. Got the iPhone camera fixed, but this is still an issue. So we're trying to see if I can crop the trying to see if we can crop the camera, but I think we've at least gotten the camera done, which is really what I wanted. You guys can see the mess that is going on in this house, as I've been mentioning. Honestly, though, I'm just glad that even if I can't get the perfect crop, I'm just glad that I was able to get the camera that I wanted at the very least. But I'm trying to figure out how to fix this thing, because it was working just fine earlier, but we've gotten somewhere, though, and that's honestly all that matters. So, anyone and everyone who joins in as I'm adjusting my webcam, welcome to the stream. Thank you guys for spending your Saturday afternoon here with me, as we're just going to cover all the free agent frenzy news that we can get. A lot has happened. A lot is still left to happen. And we are going to be covering the most of it here at Tide Talk Sports. And that's what we do here. That's what we're known for. We're here for covering latest news, latest info. So hopefully everything sounds great. The webcam is finally working. It's right in front of me, so you guys can see the setup. And obviously it's a little higher quality compared to the MacBook. And then it looks like the mic is also working pretty well at the same time. So I think we have finally managed to get somewhere at the very least. If we are still struggling, then oh well, sucks to be me. Now, I really hope I can try and get this thing fixed, because it is not being my friend right now. Hold on. Nope, still nothing. You know what? We might have to take what we can get, if we're going to be honest here. Sometimes you win, as Morgan Wallen says, you win some, you lose some, but ain't always home runs, and that's just the way life plays. If we were a team and love was a game, we'd have been the 98 Braves, in my opinion, or I like to call it the 17 Spurs. So we're trying to get everything fixed, but if we can even just get it down to somewhat better, then that's what we're going to do, and that's how we're going to roll with it. That's what we're going to do. I really wish I could figure out why it's not just I wish I could crop it. But we're going to stop talking about the webcam, and we're going to start taking questions here. I'm going to try and get this stream shared out with a bunch of people via Twitter, Instagram. I shared out the first one, and not a lot of people joined, but obviously we got a little bit of a clickbait title, so hopefully more people can start joining as it comes along. Honestly, what if we just do that? Shrink the graphic. I didn't make this graphic, so I should make a new graphic. I should make a better graphic, if we're gonna be honest, to whenever I do this more consistently. But okay, we're not gonna get it, so we're gonna switch back over here. As you can see, why not just have the graphic? Yeah, Jack, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm just gonna go ahead at some point and make my own graphic, but got a custom background here. We can maybe increase the size of that a little bit. Maybe do that. I don't know. It just hasn't been a great technology afternoon, but we're surviving, and we're just gonna roll with this graphic. Because if I move the Dame, look, it's actually in frame. It is actually in frame, guys. So we're going to just go ahead and roll with that, as there's a lot to uncover in this trade deadline. If you guys have any questions, start firing them away. I'm ready to answer all questions. We're going to open up Twitter as well, as obviously that's where the biggest updates are going to come from. We're going to be checking in on the ESPN insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, as we look to see what else is going to be happening on Twitter. It doesn't look like anything has happened in these past few minutes with trade conversations that would send. So it sounds like a third team will be involved if a Damian Lillard trade is inevitable at any given point in time. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. And the Spurs are someone to look out for. And you can say I'm saying that biasly, but I mean it is a. Whoa, there's a lot of cool stuff on here. Whoa, no, I don't want to do that. No, get rid of that. Okay. Portland teams were left with impressions that Joe Cronin is pursuing a star-level package return for Damian Lillard and plans to look well beyond Miami's package. Okay, so obviously they're going to be looking for a star in return, and Miami is, I believe, the team who has the best offer and it can offer the most. Obviously, they have guys like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry, so not only do they have a young star in Hero, but they also have a handful of veteran/young, I mean, like anywhere between veteran and young talent that are able to really have a semi-even deal. Obviously, I feel like if the Spurs wanted to be in on Damian Lillard with what Joe Cronin is looking for, I feel like the Spurs might even potentially be out on this possibility of Damian Lillard. But so far in free agency, I mean, this has been it's been re-sign agency. It hasn't really been free agency. No one has really gone anywhere differently, except for Fred VanVleet, obviously getting one of the bigger overpays in this free agency, as he's getting $43 million a year, which is higher than his field goal percentage. I don't think Dame goes to the Spurs now. I mean, he has the Spurs in his top 3 preferred destination, so it's not impossible, but the Spurs are going to have to give up a ton. I fully believe it's something like Keldon Johnson, either Malachi Branham or Blake Wesley, and then literally ask Portland, how many first-round picks do you want, and then just give it all to them. So we're going to see how that turns out, because the Spurs do have 12 first-round picks through the next 5 years. So, I mean, if the Spurs wanted to pull off some sort of Clippers, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander type deal, that is not impossible by any means. The Spurs do have the assets to make this deal, and the Spurs have the cap space to take on this contract. So realistically, at the end of the day, everything sort of makes sense for the Spurs if they want to pursue Damian Lillard. I mean, I'd like to see him at least try. Half an hour ago, the Rockets are nearing a deal with Dillon Brooks. As a Spurs fan, I am laughing hysterically. I mean, Houston fans have a lot to be excited about. They have a great young core, but they're bringing in veteran presence that's not going to help. I mean, yes, Fred VanVleet's a good player, but he's getting paid like a top 10, 15 player. He's in that range, and Fred VanVleet is maybe a top 30, maybe lower. And Dillon Brooks, obviously, we know how the story happened with Dillon Brooks this offseason and in this playoff series against the Lakers. So, obviously, it is a huge, honestly, laugh. It really is. I'm hoping to find out what the terms of the Dillon Brooks deal are going to be and how long he's going to get paid for, how much he's going to get paid for, because that's obviously the biggest thing. As Houston was really trying to spend their money as they could. I had a friend who said that Houston is like a 6-year-old kid who had $1, and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy the first thing I see. And that's how it was with Fred VanVleet, giving him a 3-year, $130 million contract. And Fred VanVleet is not worth that type of money. Is he a good player? Yes. Does he have championship DNA and good leadership? Also, yes. But you don't pay him like he's a top 10 player, because he's not. He's not. I mean, we're going to see how this ages for the Rockets, as I think it's just not a good fit. Obviously, you bring in Amen Thompson, you bring in Jalen Green, you have Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, they have a bunch of guards, young guards, as it is. And so when they bring in a Fred VanVleet, who's going to take away minutes, who's going to take away time, who's going to take away touches, I mean, it just doesn't seem like a good fit for the Rockets and where they're headed for the future. I mean, I know Ime Udoka seriously wanted to get Fred VanVleet, and he got him. I mean, Fred VanVleet and Brook Lopez were the two guys that he wanted desperately, and obviously seeing how Brook Lopez has just re-signed to a 2-year, something like $48 million contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, that's who they wanted the most, and I think that would have made the most sense for Houston, bringing in a veteran presence big who's going to change the landscape of the team defensively. I mean, Fred VanVleet is literally getting paid higher than his field goal percentage. I mean, he's making more money than guys like Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. I mean, and then in regards to re-sign agency, Desmond Bane got a $41.1 million contract for not even being an all-star. He's even $200 million. I mean, back in 2016, those were contracts reserved for guys for like LeBron, Steph, KD, and now we are kind of handing it out like it's candy, which is interesting to say the least. We're going to see how that pans out for Memphis. Obviously, they have Ja on a long-term deal. They have Jaren Jackson Jr. locked down. And now that they have Desmond Bane locked up, we're going to see how interesting that turns out to be. Derrick Rose is now also a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. And I said this last night. It's almost as if he is teaming up with his younger self. And honestly, that brought a tear to my eye because, I mean, obviously they are same players, similar archetype, similar play style, how Derrick Rose was when he was MVP, just an attack to the basket mentality with elite explosiveness, elite athleticism. And it's almost like Derrick Rose is going back 13 years in the past and playing with his former self, which is crazy to think about. I mean, nothing has really happened as of right now. So, Ian Begley is reporting that the Nets could be a team who acquired Tyler Hero in a potential Damian Lillard deal. I don't really understand how this is going to work out because I felt like if the Blazers were going to trade Damian Lillard, they were going to want someone like Tyler Hero in return. So we're going to see how that pans out. I just felt like it would be a one-on-one type of deal with these two teams. But now it seems as if there's going to be a third team facilitating this deal. And the Lakers are not going to be that team, but the Lakers are a team who was spending a lot of money, and they are spending it efficiently. They basically brought back everyone. They brought back some other vets. I mean, what else do you want the Lakers to do? They've brought back Austin Reeves. They brought back D'Angelo Russell. They signed Cam Reddish. I can't remember who else they signed yesterday. Let me look it up. Also, Twitter has decided that it doesn't want to work anymore. Elon Musk has tweeted that only unverified users will get 600 tweets a day. If you guys are truly within the loop on NBA Twitter, Dropping Dimes 20, the guy who is calling the shots hours before they even happen, has just tweeted out Zach LaVine. That's all he's tweeted. I've heard Zach LaVine has been potentially on the market. I've heard teams like New York, the Sixers, the Spurs have potentially been interested. Those are the three teams who are really potentially interested in acquiring Zach LaVine, as Chicago continues to be in a place where it's as if it's just they don't have a sense of direction. They brought back Nikola Vucevic on a 3-year, $60 million contract. DeMar DeRozan isn't getting any younger. Zach LaVine isn't getting any younger. They brought back Kobe White, but then they signed Javon Carter, I think is his name. They signed that Bucks point guard. So Chicago has certainly been in a weird place for a minute. But now we're going to see if Zach LaVine potentially is able to get out of Chicago and go play for a contending team. As we have one viewer in the chat. Thank you for spending your time here with me today. As we are anxiously waiting to see if Damian Lillard or Zach LaVine will be traded. Who knows? The Bulls could be someone who facilitates this trade as well. The three teams that Damian Lillard has wanted to see the most, it's between the Heat, the Clippers, and the Spurs. Crazy to think about. So, if the Miami Heat... So, the Blazers are looking... Per Jake Fisher, the Blazers are looking for a third team to send Tyler Hero. If the Spurs are able to facilitate that and get Tyler Hero, please do so. I would love to have Tyler Hero on my team. I maybe adjust the contract a little bit, restructure it, but something like Trey Jones. Tyler Hero could even play some on-ball as well. But having a team like Trey Jones, Tyler Hero, Jeremy Sohan, Wemby and Zach Collins. And then the bench, I don't think Devin and Keldon are guys who should be coming off the bench. If anyone's going to be that Manu role, it would definitely be Keldon. But having Devin and Keldon come off the bench could be crazy. Woj has just tweeted, Ty Jerome has agreed to a 2-year, $5 million contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, nothing big has happened yet. I mean, a lot of guys have just re-signed. Kyle Kuzma is returning to the Wizards on a 4-year, $102 million contract. I mean, the biggest things that were happening was the trades around draft day, and then this is, like I said, I'm calling it re-sign agency because that is genuinely what it has been. And as we are anxiously waiting to see if the Damian Lillard team is going to fall through. And as I reported, Jake Fisher is saying that they're looking for a third team to send Tyler Hero away to free up cap space. And like I said, I figured this would be a thing where Tyler Hero would end up in Portland, but it does now no longer seem as if that's going to be a potential opportunity. The Rockets are nearing a deal with Dillon Brooks, which could become a sign and trade with the Grizzlies per Shams. I saw we got a report from Shams a few hours ago that the Rockets were going to be making a trade with Atlanta, and now we have heard nothing about that. The Rockets are nearing a deal, sending 2 former first-round picks, Ty Washington Jr. and Usman Garuba, along with draft compensation to Atlanta, sources tell The Athletic, and that's all that was said. So now we don't know what the deal is. I mean, it seems like they may have traded for just nobody. I mean, it would make sense to see them trade for Clint Capella as again, he's a former Rocket, and they're looking to add center depth, especially defensively, and change that landscape of how they play defensively because a lot of their guards are not strong defensively. Jim Munoz. So it hasn't been a done deal, but I kept hearing he was going to the Lakers. The Lakers have re-signed everyone that they really wanted to keep from last year. They brought back Rui, they brought back Austin Reeves, they brought back D'Angelo Russell, and they've signed a handful of guys in this free agency. They signed Cam Reddish, they signed a handful of other guys, which I'm not really sure who else falls into that category. But I do not think that Damian Lillard is going to be a Laker. It doesn't make sense for what they've been doing this free agency, because if they were really trying to go for Damian Lillard, then they would have sent away these guys in a sign-and-trade deal, and I feel like the Lakers have the pieces to get it done. So we're gonna go ahead and look and see what the Lakers have acquired this offseason. Like I said, they brought back the majority of the players that they had last year as a mentality to just go look to run it back after last year, and then adding a handful of other guys. So we're gonna see what that looks like real quick. Okay, hold on. They signed Gabe Vincent, they signed Taurean Prince, Jackson Hayes, and Cam Reddish. So Cam Reddish is on a $2 million contract, Jackson Hayes is on a $2 million contract, so essentially minimums, and then Gabe Vincent was signed to a 3-year, $33 million contract, and Taurean Prince is on a one-year, $4.5 million contract, as obviously they've also brought back a handful of the players that they already had. Malik Beasley is still available on the market. They're not going to bring back Mo Bamba. Lonnie Walker is available. They also drafted Jalen Hood-Schifino. So they have a handful of players that they have already. So we're waiting to see what else is going to be coming from Shams and Woj as we just wait for this deal to essentially just happen. That's really what it is at this point. We're just waiting for this deal of Damian Lillard to go down. We're waiting for more information. And as I said, we are waiting to see what now Zach LaVine is potentially going to be, because the guy who has been calling the shots hours before they take place has now just tweeted that Zach LaVine. So we're waiting to see what could happen with him, as it's been reported that he might be potentially on the trade market. So we're going to see what team is willing to make a splash and land Zach LaVine. He's obviously I think he's still on the younger end of the spectrum. I think he's somewhere around 30 to 28, somewhere in that range. So if we're looking to see young teams that could potentially be looking to add Zach LaVine to their young rosters. Yeah, Zach LaVine is 28. He'll be 29 next March. So he fits with a lot of young teams. It was reported that teams like the Sixers, the Knicks could potentially have interest in Zach LaVine, potentially the Spurs, as they are trying to maybe pair him with Wembanyama. That was talked about a little more on draft day, but we haven't heard anything about that since. But Zach LaVine is definitely on the open market. It feels like he's been there for a minute, as Chicago is just looking for a sense of direction. We're going to continue to see how this plays out. The Indiana Pacers, let's talk about them for a second. They're a team who has done decently well this offseason. They just added Obi Toppin for 2 second-round picks. It's a salary dump for New York, as they could be looking to make a splash in this free agency and by making a trade. And that's something that the Knicks are always rumored to do, is to maybe making a trade. So we'll see, as obviously the Knicks are a team that people want to go to, because obviously New York is a strong market, very high market. They added Bruce Brown Jr., and I think it's a little bit of overpay. They added Bruce Brown for $21 million. I'm hoping they are able to land Dame, because that would boost the team and give the Spurs much needed help at running the point. Absolutely. The Spurs have needed a point guard for quite some time now after DeJounte was great. And he obviously had that all-star season, and the Spurs are looking to replace him immediately. And that was kind of the point. They had a new sense of direction when trading DeJounte, so that's where the Spurs are at now. And bringing in Damian Lillard, I mean, he's 32, so obviously he's a little bit older, doesn't fit the timeline of the team as better as some of the other guys on the market could. But Damian Lillard is Damian Lillard. I mean, you bring him in and you're going to be contending within the next 2 years. Not like playoff contending, but you could be a team who's competing for a championship, especially if the Spurs are able to land him as well as keep most of the young core that they have already. I personally believe that if the Spurs are going to trade for Damian Lillard, then it's going to be something like Keldon Johnson, Blake Wesley, and then maybe even the newly acquired Cedi Osman, and 6 first-round picks. I mean, the Spurs have 12 first-round picks, so they have a bunch to spend. This is the moment where if you're a GM and you've been acquiring a bunch of picks, this is your moment where you pull the trigger and you let it fly and you send away those picks for a guy who can put you into contention almost immediately. I mean, Wemby will probably have a Rookie of the Year type season, and we'll see so much upside from him. And if they go out and get Damian Lillard, then, I mean, like, they may be a 5-6 seed next season, and then they'll be somewhere around the 2 to 4 range the season after. I mean, that's the impact Damian Lillard can make. Talking about the Pacers again, obviously they landed Bruce Brown Jr. for $21 million a season, which is a lot. Bruce Brown is not worth that much money. He played well in Denver, especially in the finals. He had some big moments. He was able to help close out games down the stretch. So Bruce Brown is a great player, but $21 million, that's a lot. He's earning more than Miles Turner. He's earning more than Buddy Hield, but Indiana was a team who also had the money to spend, and with the new CBA rules that took effect today, teams have to spend 90% of their cap space before getting hit with luxury taxes. And we saw them continue their money splurge last night as they extended Tyrese Halliburton to a 5-year, $260 million contract. And then, obviously, they just traded for Obi Toppin. It's a salary dump for the Knicks. Not big, but it's $6 million, 6.8, and they get 2 future seconds, as they're probably looking to get one of the bigger stars of free agency to form a starting 5 of Tyrese Halliburton, Ben Mathurin, Bruce Brown, Obi Toppin, and Miles Turner. I mean, this is a decent team. This is not a bad team by any means, and they're a sneaky team, and they're someone that could possibly be sneaking into that play-in around that 8-9 seed, because they're talented. They did well for about that first half of the season last year. Tyrese Halliburton is only going to get better. And then I can't remember who their coach is. I feel like they may have had one of the firings. I don't know. But this is a roster with talent and a roster with players that could definitely be taking them to the playoffs, as we have a notification on Twitter, and it's just Bleacher Report. Miami, quote, would like to get a deal done as soon as possible for Dame, and the Nets could be the third team involved. That includes Tyler Hero, which is interesting. Could we see something about Ben Simmons? Whoa. The Rockets are finalizing a deal to acquire Brooklyn's Patty Mills via a trade. That's weird. Okay, I need them to buy out Patty because I'm a Patty Mills lover, and I don't want him in Houston. That's interesting because the Rockets, what are the Rockets doing? Why are they adding veteran point guards when they have Amen Thompson, when they have Jalen Green, when they have Kevin Porter Jr.? You're a team who doesn't need veteran point guards. You just signed Fred VanVleet for $40 million, and now you're going to go trade for Patty Mills? What is Houston doing? Well, it is rumored that Brooklyn could be that third team that facilitates the Damian Lillard trade. So maybe it's just a salary dump, and they gave Houston a pick, and they'll be looking to buy him out. That really could be what is going on here. Because I hope Patty Mills does not stay in Houston, bro. I do not want Patty Mills in Houston. That is terrible. They gave Dillon Brooks $20 million. They really just gave Dillon Brooks $20 million. Okay, the Rockets have signed Dillon Brooks to a 4-year, $80 million contract. I'm deceased. I'm genuinely... A lot is happening right now. The Rockets are doing a lot of crazy things. Someone please. Yeah, Justin, they just they gave him 4 years, $80 million, but I don't know if you've heard, Patty Mills just got traded to Houston. Patty Mills just got traded to the Houston Rockets, and we are I'm hoping that this is a buyout deal. I'm genuinely hoping because it's rumored that Brooklyn could be the third team to facilitate a Damian Lillard trade, and Patty is just a salary dump for Brooklyn, and they gave Houston a pick, and then they're going to buy out Patty, and he's going to come back to the Spurs because that's what needs to happen. Patty Mills does not need to be in a Houston Rockets jersey. It disgusts me. I cannot believe that they gave Dillon Brooks 4 years, $80 million. What is Houston doing? Houston just went insane. Houston just signed Jock Landale to a 4-year, $32 million contract. There's a lot happening right now. There's a lot happening, especially with the Houston Rockets right now. So I'm trying to read a lot on Twitter. And I have a Rockets friend, and he's losing his mind. they're spending their money, and they're spending it not efficiently, for sure, to say the least. Yes, free Patty. Free Patty. I will go. We need to go stand outside Toyota Center and kidnap Patty and take him back to San Antonio. The Rockets are doing a lot right now. They just signed Jock Landale. They just signed Dylan Brooks. They just traded for Patty Mills. I don't really know what's going on. I mean, everything just happened within a matter of seconds. If you guys have any questions about your team or any other team in the league, please start sending them my way. I'd love to answer and give my opinion on where I think who's going to happen and what team and where's going to the land superstars. I mean, there's still a handful of players on the board. The trade market could go off at any given moment, especially as we anxiously wait for this Damian Lillard deal to go on. It's interesting because obviously they're signing. They got a lot of players already. It just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Because I am genuinely, as a Spurs fan, the Rockets have a good core. They have things to be excited about. Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, KPG, or I don't know. His name is hard to say. Kevin Porter Jr., Alfred Seguin, Tarai Eason. There's a lot of players on the Houston Rockets who are talented, who are young, who fit this youth timeline that they're heading into. But then they signed Fred VanVleet. They signed Dylan Brooks. They trade for Patty Mills. They signed Jock Landale, all within a matter of 24 hours. I mean, it's really weird what is going on in Houston. I really want to know what they're doing because it's just weird. Did they forget that they have a young core? I mean, this all happened within a matter of seconds. Jock Landale's now getting $8 million a year. Patty Mills is still... I think Patty Mills is going to be a buyout guy. I believe he is. But now Dylan Brooks is getting $20 million a year. Fred VanVleet is getting $40 million a year. It's just... It's a lot that has happened at once. Houston is not a team who has won free agency. They're not. They won the draft. They did not win free agency. They have Cam Whitmore. They also drafted Cam Whitmore for Lord's sake. I mean, and now they are trying. I mean, they're taking away all those minutes that they have for a talented young roster, at that too. We're gonna look at their cap. So Fred VanVleet will be on $40 million his first year. I mean, Jabari Smith. I forgot Jabari Smith was there. Jayshawn Tate, Josh Christopher. I mean, and then Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore. This is a team that is really focused on a youth movement, and then they sign a handful of veteran players. Just does not make sense to me. I mean, I'm not a GM, so I don't know how to really move about in free agency. But you kind of need to figure a timeline because Houston is really trying to do two things at once right now. And I know Dylan Brooks is still pretty young. He is. But they're using him as a veteran presence player. He'll be 28 in January. So they're bringing in Brooks as a veteran. He's not the veteran to be leading your team. And maybe that's why they brought Patty in. I don't know. We're still waiting to hear what their trade that they sent to Atlanta is. There's a lot going on right now. Okay, so Atlanta sends out the draft rights to Alpha Kaba to Houston for Ty Ty Washington, Usman Garaba, 2 seconds, and $1.1 million cash. What is Houston doing? I really want to know what Houston is doing. I'm really confused as to what Houston is trying to do. I can see Ime wanting Patty because of the obvious history there, but it still makes zero sense for Houston. Absolutely. Everything that Houston just did almost makes... I mean, everything that Houston has done this free agency makes little to no sense, in my opinion. I've talked so much about how I believe in the young core that they have in Houston with the guards that they have. I mean, they have a very solid young core, but then they go out and they spend $40 million on Fred VanVleet. They are now spending $20 million on Dylan Brooks per season, and now they bring in Patty Mills, and then they brought in Jock Landale, who is now getting a 4-year, $32 million contract. It's very interesting to it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. They're bringing in veteran players to take away touches from the younger team that needs to develop. If they really wanted to pursue after this youth movement that's going on in Houston right now, then they wouldn't have signed a lot of these players. They wouldn't have. Maybe they still would have signed someone like Fred VanVleet or Dylan Brooks, but they wouldn't be trading for Patty Mills. They wouldn't be signing Jock Landale. It doesn't make sense. Houston is not making any sense right now. That's the only way to put it. They're not making sense. And I wish they did, because it's a very confusing moment for Houston fans, for NBA fans. It is just something that doesn't really make any sense. You're going to spend $60 million on two vets who are going to slow down the development of other players. Damian Lillard is liking tweets about him going to Miami. I mean, no one's going to be shocked when that happens. I mean, nobody's scared of the Houston Rockets. LaMelo Ball's on a 5-year, $260 million extension. Do you think he's worth it? For me personally, no. He's been a guy who struggled with a lot of injuries here. I mean, Jock Landale's going to take touches from Jabari Smith, from Tarai Eason, from Alvin Şengün. I mean, it's just, what is going on? What is Houston doing? It really is confusing. It really is. I'm really interested as to why Houston is doing what they're doing and what their perspective is. Let's talk about something else. I don't want to talk about the Rockets anymore. Please, someone ask any questions. I mean, about you know what, you can ask about the Rockets, ask about the Spurs, ask about the Lakers. I mean, seriously, ask questions. I'd love to start taking them. Would love to absolutely start taking questions from you guys. Ask me where I think some players are going to go. Just let me know what you guys think is going to happen, because there is still a lot of dominoes left to fall in free agency. Let's go find the remaining free agent tab. Rockets agreed to a 4-year, $32 million center with Jock Landale, fully guaranteed, and it's non-guaranteed years 2 through 4. Includes a team option in year 4. Let's see what people are saying. I mean, literally, people are saying mid, still not making the playoffs. A lot of money for no results. I mean, people they're gonna be so cheeks. I need Amin Thompson to carry. The gif of the dog putting his hand over his nose are both pictures overrated. Yes. Rockets just giving away money. Finna shoot 35% from the field as a duo. I mean, Dillon Brooks was going to get a contract no matter what because he was able to secure an all-defensive team. And Dillon Brooks is a good defender. We'll go ahead and say that. Dillon Brooks is a good defender. I respect his defensive game, but I still do not respect him. But it's just... It doesn't make sense. Houston's just spending money to spend money to breach the new CBA, and they're signing players who don't fit where they're heading right now. I'm trying to fix my desk because it's super messed up right now for sure. There's a lot of, and as you can see, the house is a mess right now. There's actually a lot of construction going on right now in the house, so that's fun. That is a fun time here in the household. Let's go see the remaining free agent chart and see what is available for teams to start spending. Okay. All right. Okay, so Brook Lopez is now on a team. Austin Reeves is back on a team. Patrick Beverley is on a team. Dillon Brooks is on a team. Okay, Jay Crowder has returned. So guys who are still available are Miles Bridges, Russell Westbrook, Christian Wood, Ayo DeSumo, P.J. Washington, Grant Williams, Dante DiVincenzo, Kelly Oubre, Malik Beasley, Jay Crowder just resigned, Mason Plumlee, and Torrey Craig. I'm a Spurs fan, and I want them to, at this point, go after Russell Westbrook. Let's get another point guard in the building, and potentially Grant Williams or Kelly Oubre. Maybe Kelly Oubre because he's a very underrated player, especially offensively. He had a very quiet 20-point-per-game season because he was with Charlotte. No one watches Charlotte. Respectfully, no one watches Charlotte. So guys like him are falling under the radar. P.J. Washington is a very underrated player as well, but guess where he is? He's in Charlotte. It is interesting. It's extremely interesting to see where they're going to go with it. Woj tweeted. Okay, Russell Westbrook is no longer a free agent. He is he's on a two-year deal worth $8 million to stay with the Clippers. I'm a Russell Westbrook believer. I don't think many people know that, but I do love Russell Westbrook. I love his game. And he earned another contract because he closed out the season on a high note for the Clippers, especially in that first round of the playoffs where it was literally just him. I'm really excited for what Russell Westbrook can do, especially if that Clippers team remains healthy, because they're a good squad. And who knows, they could still try and get James Harden. We know that's potentially one of the favorites to land him. But I do love Russell Westbrook. I love what he contributed at the end of last season. He's a guy who still plays winning basketball. He's a guy who still plays serviceable basketball. In the games that Kawhi and PG were not healthy, the dude was averaging 30 points. We all know that picture against Memphis, where he's on the floor. And he can still play good basketball. He's a guy who, when he has the ball in his hands, he's going to get it done. And that was what made him extremely well, because when he was on his own, he played the do-it-himself basketball that he played in Oklahoma City. And that's just what wasn't working for him in LA. He played with two ball dominant players in LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook had to play off ball, and that's just not his style. Westbrook is not a guy who sits on the wing waiting for a catch and shoot three. He's a guy who loves to have the ball in his hands, to attack the basket, to be aggressive, to get points at the foul line. That's what Russell Westbrook is. That's what he is, and that's why he played so well. Even if you have him as a second unit player, if you can let him be the lead guy of a second unit role, he's going to get you 20 a game. 20 is a little ambitious, but he's going to get you somewhere around 15 to 20 points a game, especially if he's the lead guy coming off the bench to be a leader. Because he's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to be able to control the game, how he controls it with the second unit, and he's going to play well. He is going to play well. I'm a Russell Westbrook believer, and I love this contract. It's cheap. It's team friendly. I mean, it's amazing. This is why I'm Wemby. This is why I'm so glad we got Wemby. In Houston, he wouldn't be able to develop. He needs to be who he is, and hopefully with the Spurs, he would do that. Absolutely. I mean, Pop is definitely not a person who is extremely high on letting players, on letting the big man dribble up the ball. But I think he's going to do a great job with Wemby, and I think I think this is one of those rare moments where he's going to be happy and he's going to let Wemby do what he wants to do, and Wemby's going to play well. He's under a great development system. They just brought on his personal trainer to the training staff, and that's going to be huge. What team will be the first to get an expansion? I think there's a great market. There was a great market. Obviously, everyone can say Seattle, but I think there's a great market in Vegas. I think there could be a great market in Kansas City. Kansas City loves their sports team, so I think, you look at their football team, the Kansas City Chiefs. You look at their baseball team. I mean, Kansas City has a great passion. They're one of those small market locations who just have a undeniable love for their franchises, and I think they would have a great fan base and potentially even a great market in Kansas City for an NBA team. That's kind of like my Western prediction for I could see where an NBA team could take place for an expansion. And for the East, I could see another Pittsburgh team. I mean, in the NFL, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we also have the Philadelphia Eagles. And Pittsburgh is a good market, especially up there in the East, or maybe even Baltimore. Those are two, historic cities, and I think we could see one of those cities potentially get an Eastern Conference team. Those are kind of my predictions. I think Kansas City, Seattle, Vegas for the West, and then for the East, Pittsburgh or Baltimore could be two cities that get an NBA team within the next coming of decades. I would love to see an expansion, and maybe Mexico City. I mean, we do. The NBA does a lot in Mexico City as it is, and I mean, they do a lot of promotion, and they always have a good turnout, so I could absolutely see a team in Mexico City. We have a team in Canada. It could absolutely work out in Mexico City. I think it could. Let's see. What else is breaking the news? What else? I mean, we're just waiting, honestly, a lot on the trade market because that's really what's the biggest going into this off season. There's a lot of players who want trades, who could be traded. We know with that Damian Lillard is on the market. We know that James Harden is on the market. But with trades, you never know who's on the market at any given point. 2-year, nearly worth $8 million. I mean, that's a very good deal for Russell Westbrook. It's a very cheap deal. It's team friendly. It still gives them flexibility to land a bigger free agent. So there's absolutely a chance that the Clippers could still be working on something because, like I said, it's a very team friendly deal for Russell Westbrook, and he's probably worth more. And to see the Clippers sign him for cheap, it's a steal. It's one of the bigger steals of free agency, and it's great. It's great for both sides. The Clippers get a player who can play serviceable basketball, who can help win basketball games. It's all around a solid deal for both sides. I mean, it's honestly like an A signing, in my opinion. We're just waiting. I mean, there's nothing that's happening right now. The Bucks did a good job. They brought back Chris Middleton. They brought back Brooke Lopez. They let Javon Carter go. I mean, they did a really great job in bringing back the guys to expand their championship window for a couple more years. They did a really great job in bringing back the key players and not letting them go to other teams. And I think Giannis is looking for revenge. As he said, we all know the Michael Jordan played 6 championships. Every other season was a failure. We know that quote. And I think Giannis could absolutely be looking for a revenge type of season, and he's ready to tear the house down. I mean, we know what Giannis can do, and we know that he's won a championship. He has an MVP. I mean, multiple, I think. I think he has multiple MVPs. I don't know. I think he just won. It might have just been the 18-19 season because then Jokic started winning his MVPs after. Actually, I think he did. I think he won the 1920 one too. Someone said that Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet are the Brick Brothers instead of the Splash Brothers. I do wish the Spurs would have landed Austin Reeves. That was a deal that they definitely could have dipped their toes in the deep end on that. Austin Reeves is a player who I'm super high on. If you watch my videos, you know that I'm high on Austin Reeves, and I love what he brings as a player. Loves what he brings as a mentality. I mean, I love everything about Austin Reeves. He has that Manu Ginobili type of feel. I mean, he has a great story from undrafted to two-way to now securing a big-time $13 million contract, which is great. He deserves that level of money. I just wish the Spurs would have at least given him an offer sheet because I think he just fits perfectly with the Spurs and their system. He is young. He is fun. He's a point. He can play. He's gonna be a combo guard between a point guard and a shooting guard. He can play off ball. He can play on ball. I mean, everything about his game, I love. Is he the best defensively? No, but he is going to give maximum effort on the defensive end. And offensively, he reminds me of Manu Ginobili, a shifty guard with a crafty handle who can get by defenders and get to the rim and score over bigger defenders. And he can shoot the three. He can play make extremely well. I loved everything about Austin Reeves' game. So I just wish that we would have been able to land him. The Rockets are trading Josh Christopher to Memphis. I think this is going to be a part of the potential sign and trade for Dillon Brooks. As we await more details from this trade. Because it was reported that it would probably potentially be a sign and trade deal for Dillon Brooks, as Memphis might be looking to get something in return for him. And this is what we could potentially be seeing. The Rockets are making a lot of questionable, very, very questionable moves today. Very questionable. So I'm just looking to see what else it's going to be. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. As we just continue waiting. Are we expecting? Could we be expecting 3 teams to be involved in the Damian Lillard fiasco? I would say yes. I mean, that's what's being reported. It seems as if like someone like Brooklyn, someone like the Spurs have the ability to be a facilitator in this deal, and it looks like that they are going to send Tyler Hero to this third team. So, which is interesting. I mean, it really says a lot about what Portland believes in Tyler Hero, and it says they don't believe in him a lot, which is unfortunate because I'm a Tyler Hero believer. That's for sure. I like what he can do. Hey, look, I'm just trying to find cool things to add. There's scenes too. No, we're not worried about that right now. Stop. Just go back here. We're just waiting. We're waiting to see if anything's going to happen. I do want to see. I want to make sure though that the Rockets are not going to keep Patty Mills though. That's one of my biggest things. I don't want them to keep Patty Mills, man. Yusuf Nurkic could be packaged with Damian Lillard, per Chris Haynes. Let's go ahead and look and see what Chris Haynes has to say. He's done a pretty good job covering this Damian Lillard saga. He was the first to report that Damian Lillard was asking for a trade, so we're looking to see how much it's going to improve. The Heat would prefer to keep Caleb Martin out of any Damian Lillard trade, which is interesting. Damian Lillard specifically wants to be traded for the Miami Heat, but his 3 favorites are the Heat, Clippers, and Spurs. Patrick Beverley is going to the Philly on a 1-year deal. Him and Joel Embiid are going to be straight up comedy. I am not a huge Joel Embiid believer. He is just someone, I don't like his game. The reason he gets 40 points is because he gets most of it from the line. He flops almost every given play. He's lazy. The only reason he didn't win MVP is because Kendrick Perkins started saying the dumbest things I've ever heard on television. And then they were like, okay, let's give it to Embiid. When Jokic definitely should have deserved it. In Spurs news, we signed Victor Wembanyama to his rookie contract. I think it's a 4-year. I'm pretty sure it's like a 4-year, $54 million contract, which about $12 million for the number 1 overall pick for Victor Wembanyama. Not bad by any means. His rookie extension will probably feed families, though. That's for sure. Where do you guys think Damian Lillard is going to go? I want to hear your takes. Where is Damian Lillard going to go? Only one viewer. If we don't get much interaction in a little bit, we might be just ending it short. Also, I hope Elon Musk fixes the app Twitter because it has been not the best of apps today, to say the least. Spurs are currently sitting at $24 million in cap space to spend. Dennis Smith Jr. signed a one-year deal with the Brooklyn Nets. OG Anunoby is seeking a bigger role in offense and wants to handle the ball more. I think we could be looking out for potentially his name on the trade market. The Raptors are not in a great sense of direction. Scotty Barnes, but they still have some talented players between Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, Jakob Poeltl, OG Anunoby, but they just extended Gary Trent Jr., but it just is not. It's just not a great situation. They fired Nick Nurse. It seems like they're heading into rebuild mode after hiring the former Memphis coach. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but I know who he is. Look at good old Victor Wembanyama. A lot of news to continue to develop. And we're just anxiously waiting to see. Shams has just tweeted, Jalen McDaniels has agreed to a 2-year, $9.3 million contract with the Toronto Raptors. As I was literally just talking about the Raptors. I mean, we could see Pascal Siakam be on the market. I think they have Precious Achiuwa. Yes, they still do, because they acquired him in the Kyle Lowry deal. Kyle Lowry could be on the trade market. I mean, at this point, a lot of names that we're used to hearing on the trade market, anyone could be available. And we're going to see how it continues to pan out. More and more. Obviously, them signing could mean nothing, could mean something. You never know. It's a cheap deal for Jalen McDaniels, who is nice. I do like Jalen McDaniels' game. He is very solid. Damian Jones was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I just think the Spurs have the most to give for Damian Lillard. Obviously, Miami doesn't want or Portland doesn't want to hold on to Tyler Hero. So I feel like if they want a bunch of assets, the Spurs can give them a bunch of assets. We're waiting to see if Jaylen Brown's going to sign that lifelong extension. As it was rumored, he could be signing a $370 million contract extension, which is absolutely blasphemous. He is not worth that much money. Australian forward Jack White has agreed to a 2-year deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Who? Respectfully, who? I didn't realize that Jalen ended up with Philly. I guess he wasn't playing much there. I do like Jaden McDaniels more than Jalen, though. Jalen's playing a pretty big role for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I think he is going to continue to develop, but Minnesota is in a very strange place, obviously, with the centers that they have going on between Cat, Gobert, and Naz Reid. It's just they're in a very weird place. They're in a very weird timeline. They traded They traded for Gobert and then traded for Mike Conley. And Mike Conley's not bad. They actually got better whenever Mike Conley came into the team, but it's just Minnesota's in a weird spot. They really are. And the roster is not built. The roster is not really constructively built to compete in the Western Conference. Yes, they'll probably sneak into the playoffs this year, but it'll be probably once again as that play-in team where they sneak in last second and then get eliminated in 5 or 6 games. But it's just not a team that is constructively built to continue competing, and they need to do more. They do. They brought back Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They brought in Troy Brown Jr., which is just they're in a weird spot. I think they need to move on from this Rudy Gobert experiment because it didn't work. They were worse than they were the year before. They won somewhere around the same amount of games, and they lost a lot of crucial role players between guys like Malik Beasley and Pat Bev, and they got rid of one of the picks that they gave away turned out to be Walker Kessler. It just wasn't a good fit for this Gobert and Cat Twin Tower type of duo. And they traded away so many important players that got them into the playoffs and competed in the playoffs in the first round against Memphis. It's just, Woj just tweeted. The Grizzlies are finalizing the sign and trade with Houston for Dillon Brooks. No surprises there. But I think later we might just call it the stream soon and then come back if an emergency happens. Adding Dame, would you consider calling the Spurs? No. The Spurs would not be a super team if they traded for Damian Lillard. They would not be a super team by any means. I think when you categorize a super team, you look at how many All-Stars are on that team at one time. I mean, Phoenix is a super team. The Brooklyn Nets a few years ago were a super team. The 2018 Warriors were a super team. It's just bringing in Damian Lillard brings in a superstar presence and then you have the guy in Victor Wembanyama who has superstar potential. I think obviously if you have two superstars, I think you're kind of pushing the super team line. You're not really on it, but you're not far from it, but you're not on it if you have two superstar caliber players. I mean, look at the Mavs. The Mavs have Luka Doncic, arguably a top 5 player in this league. Kyrie Irving, somewhere around the top 15. And top 15, top 20. They're not a super team, though. And the Spurs have so much young talent. If they bring in the superstar, obviously it pushes them to the next level with what they have now. And if they're able to keep the guys who I want them to keep, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Malachi Branham, those are 3 of the guys that I love. I would love the Spurs to keep. I almost consider Jeremy and Devin untouchable. I think just their ceilings are so extremely high for what they have already done that you really can't give up on them this early. I know Devin has sustained a couple of injuries, but especially what he can do as a scorer. He is very versatile in the scoring column, and he's very lengthy. He's able to defend well. I love everything about Devin Vassell's game. He has very strong two-way upside. Offensively, he doesn't have so many flaws in his game. His jumper is one of the most unguardable in the league, especially for a wing. Jeremy Sohan was just a physical beast. He is great on a rebound. He was great rebounding. Obviously, he had the struggles with shooting early in the season, but then he was able to improve that drastically going into the fourth quarter of the season. And so if it happens to be something like Damian Lillard, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Victor Wembanyama, and Zach Collins is a starting 5. That's not a super team. That's just two super. That's one proven superstar and one possibly up and coming superstar. With I think Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sohan, they have all-star caliber talent with all-star caliber careers and ceilings. So maybe, but Dame doesn't have much longer left. He'll probably be around maybe 5 years at the most. Maybe 5 to 6 years at the most. And so if they traded for Dame and Victor was a superstar immediately and Devin Vassell or Jeremy Sohan was an all-star caliber player, maybe. But if the Spurs traded for Damian Lillard this second, I would not call them a super team. I would not. But there is that potential. Woj just tweeted again. Hold on. Okay. The Clippers are trading 2 second-round picks to the Houston Rockets for KJ Martin. KJ Martin's nice. Not bad. But he's talented. The Clippers have been in the market to add young rotation players to a veteran roster, and Martin is developing into a starting level for in this league. He is. Martin's nice. He's 22 and averaged 12.7 points last year, 5.5 rebounds on 57% shooting last year, which is pretty efficient numbers for him. KJ Martin is nice. I like his game. Obviously, he was in the dunk contest a little while ago. He's nice. I do like KJ Martin's game. But once again, what is Houston doing? Just Houston is not everything Houston has done has not made any sense. Jock Landale is the signing that makes the most sense. I do not understand what Houston is trying to go after right now. Brooklyn Nets are among teams that could be the potential third team to land Tyler Hero. Jay Crowder signed a 1-year deal with Milwaukee. Obi Toppin is a Pacer. I think the Pacers could be a team who sneak into that 8 seed, 7 seed this year. They're sneaky good. We are running low on battery power here. I think we might take a break for a little bit. We're going to call this stream, and then we will go back online if something huge happens. Because that's really what we're waiting on. And that's just what we're waiting for it to happen. I mean, Damian Lillard has a lot of respect for the organization. There's a fascination with Wembanyama. There's a fascination with the idea of pop. There's a lot of interest from Damian Lillard's side on the San Antonio Spurs. I really hope that this happens. But then someone else, David Aldridge, says he's only focused on the Heat. And then that was 6 hours ago and 4 hours ago. They're saying he's interested in the Spurs. We're going to see what happens. But I think we're going to go ahead and take a halftime here. Pokemon TV, welcome to the stream, but we are about to probably call this one. We've been on here for about a little bit over an hour now, and nothing big has really happened. I'm going to go get dinner. I'm going to go eat some Mexican food and take a break, drink some water as we wait to see what's going to happen. If a huge trade happens, I will get home as soon as I can. But we're just waiting at this point, so I think this is a great time now to take a break. And if something huge happens, I will be back. That's really the biggest factor is if something huge happens. So, for those of you who were able to stay in and do a little bit of watching, I appreciate you guys spending your Saturday afternoon here with me on Tide Talk Sports. I know it wasn't a really interactive stream, but we had some people, and I appreciate the time that you guys spent with me. It really means a lot. If you guys aren't subscribed, please hit that button and turn on the post notification bell so you guys never miss when I do these streams. I want to try and do these a little more. I love having live one-on-one interactions with my viewers. That certainly is a lot of fun to me. So I'm going to try and do this a little more, but we'll probably be back later and be ready to break the biggest news as it happens here throughout the course of this free agency. So if you guys did enjoy, please drop the like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss when I go live. And next time I do, and next time I post a video, that is when I will see you guys. So for now, I'm signing off.